This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, starting at verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh, while Yahweh Shai. Verse 17, and if children, then heirs, heirs of Yahweh, and joint heirs with Mashiach, if so be that we suffer with them, that we may be also glorified together. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory, Kol Haloyim, La Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba Hashem, double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstones, taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akim around the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and sincerity, risking their lives and the freedom to do so. Shalom to the Aqua, the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is an edifying video. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of the other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you I say shalom. This is the brother Yahweh Sab out of the GMS Cleveland Church, fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And basically, I was reading out of this book, and I'm going to show you the title of the book, because I came across information I wasn't aware of, and I decided to basically do start a new series. You know, sometimes I do certain series, and I just figured, I would try to do that before, we're all locked down and before Jacob's trouble. Because we're in the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble, but we ain't seen the real persecution yet. That's in the making. But the name of the book is 30 Little Secrets. And it says about Black history and heroes and other troublemakers by Carl Anderson. I don't know what that is. But obviously it's some kind of credentials or title, like you have doctors and whatnot. So anyhow, basically speaking on a guy named John Brown. So this is chapter 2, page 21 of Dirty Little Secrets, and it says a national hero, and his name is John Brown. It said on the morning of December 2nd, 1859, as John Brown's body hung from the gallows in Charleston, Virginia, free and enslaved blacks across America kneeled and wept in his honor. They prayed for his soul because they knew they had lost a friend and devoted protector. Ironically, John Brown was a descendant of Peter Brown, a passenger on the Mayflower that brought the first freedom seekers to America. Even the name John Brown sounded black enough to give black people comfort, but John Brown was not black. He was, I'm just reading it verbatim. It says, because we all know that it's no such thing as white. That's basically terminology, because nobody's actually the color of white. You know what I mean? Just like nobody's, actually the crayon color black. You know what I mean? You have very, very dark shades of brown, and you got different shades of red. So-called white people aren't white, they're red. When you got a white t-shirt, nobody has the complexion of the t-shirt. And if they have a black t-shirt, nobody's the complexion of the black t-shirt. You got some very black or very dark brown complected people, but nobody's the actual color black. It says, but John Brown was not black. He was a white revolutionary who believed he had been ordained by God to free the black race from enslavement, even if it meant his own death. So this man was literally, basically believed that he was the Most High. God told him to literally, free, Jake. And when you go into with like the whole thing with Nat Turner, like when Nat Turner basically did his revolution, his rebellion based on the Bible. He got to reading the Bible and realizing that we were the people in the Bible that were enslaved. And that's what was the basis for him to do the rebellion. Now everything is the will of the Most High God. So that's why it didn't come to, it tells you in scriptures, a scripture that talks about, man trusting horses, but it's ultimately up to bear with me for a second, I'm going to find it. Salakia, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 31. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. So at the end of the day, man, just like the victory is of the Lord, you know what I mean? Like I said, man can prepare, but it's the Lord ultimately that will basically give you the victory. That's like, for instance, with King David and Goliath, you know what I mean? He was a man of the Lord and he prayed to the Lord before he fought Goliath, you know what I mean? With no fear. And he overcame Goliath. Back into, I brought out Romans 8 because I brought out the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. Like I said, and through the Spirit, I believe that this man that appeared like an Edomite may have been a Jake. Like I said, from reading the paragraph, it said he basically said God, he had been ordained by God to free the black race from enslavement. He made himself a controversial figure in American history by launching a violent, no-holds-barred attack against institutionalized slavery. Now, mind you, why is it that this man isn't spoken about? Why don't you hear about him? I mean, period. You know what I mean? Like, the little information that I found about him it doesn't really even go into detail. And it's funny how, the most sought after information or the most important information he tends to hide from us. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it makes sense why they don't let you know. Like, they have you under the impression that you've always been just a nigga and, a nigga with pants sagging with no history, no, no understanding, just less than everybody else that's amongst you. And people will sit up there and say, well, that ain't true, but that's what's perpetuated in this system. You know what I mean? I don't believe that just because I'm speaking on it. I know who the fuck I am, but you have a person sit up there and tell you, "Oh, stop feeling sorry for yourself." Like, I've heard literally people make dumbass statements about, "Well, you can literally, it's all about your mindset." If that's the case, then why do so many people get caught up in poverty and go to jail and become a clog in the system as opposed to making it up out of there? Because everybody is not designed for everybody to make it up out of there. Like, those are exceptions, or if not the sellouts, you know what I mean? Truth be told, like, for instance, not to digress, but like, I constantly think of Bill Cosby. That's how you know he was an Israelite, because as much money as he had, he still caught the curses at the end of the day. And what I don't respect about him is this: he literally had something to say about the same people that lived in the neighborhoods that he escaped from. But then you making it seem like you just this fucking like just this actual like holier than thou figure when you up here raping bitches. And now you want everybody to feel sorry for you. Like, no, you enjoyed for all them years. You enjoyed what you enjoyed, and then making all these deals with the devil, and then the devil sold you out. Because at the end of the day, take the time to think about this. If 20, 30 women could come out of the blue talking about he raped them, why didn't one or two or five of the women back in the day come out and say it? So they did. It just was covered up. You know what I mean? Just like with the Hillary Clinton shit that I just did a video on. Literally, basically, government said that they was going to take her to put her on stand and make her actually ask her questions of the oath, and she got up out of that shit. So just imagine what all she has done. Because she probably got some information on some people that's going to really hurt some really big people. Like the Epstein thing. Oh, by the way, if you wasn't aware, that same guy, Epstein, Donald Trump used to be, amongst this guy. Donald Trump used to kick it with this man. So, it's just funny to me that, it's funny to me that you people believe in Donald Trump, but this man is affiliated with people that literally, was amongst pedophile rings and shit like that. Salakia, though, back into the article, it says, with his message from God and a party of 21 people, including his sons and daughters and 5 blacks, Brown invaded the state of Virginia, captured the town of Harper's Ferry, seized the U.S. Armory, and freed some 50 slaves. With this series of revolutionary acts, it says the white militant almost single-handedly created the passionate, emotional climate that led to the Civil War. More than any other white before or since, Brown confronted the issue of black liberation forthrightly and at a high personal cost. And that's another reason why I like to believe that he was a Jake, because like I got another like article that delves into information about his personal information a little bit deeper, but he had a huge family, and most Jakes, got huge families. Like Jake tend to outnumber Esau because, Jake tends to have big families, you know what I mean? Like, I know my dad came from a family of like 10, you know what I mean? So, and that was during poverty. I mean, we ain't even talking about good times, because when Jake catch hell, they literally tend to, procreate. They tend to, they tend to go seek release by having sex, you know what I'm saying? And that's why you see, they always speak over the issue about people in the projects and whatnot having them big ass families. You know what I mean? Because when you impoverished, most people escape to getting high or drunk or whatnot, or fucking. I mean, not to be so shrewd, or not shrewd, but what's the word? Vulgar. I'm not. I mean, at the end of the day, excuse my Swahili. You know what I mean? But they tend to. Well, I think the word "fuck" is a German word, I believe. But anyhow, they tend to have sex. So, like I said, he had a big family, which helped in the rebellion. And then in the other article I read, it said that literally, like, he was real poor. You know what I mean? Like he did a lot of different trades. Like he had a lot of different professions that he tried to take part in, but he really didn't make a lot of money out of them. That's another part of the curses. I think that's in the book of Baruch. Bear with me for a second. Salakia. I think it's one in Habakkuk or Baruch, but it's one in Deuteronomy 2, the one that I just brought up. It says, curse, Deuteronomy 28 and verse 16, curse shall thou be in the city, and curse shall thou be in the field. So no matter where you go, you're going to receive these curses, because in the book of Deuteronomy, it said the Israelites will be known because they'll be set up under curses for not following the law, statutes, and commandments. And many of the curses that, the Israelites are up under, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans suffer from, as far as the eye being evil to his fellow brother, you know what I mean? Your neighbor is, when you go into the word neighbor in the Greek, it actually means brother. It's not meaning everybody that's fucking in the world. Your neighbor is usually the people that you live amongst. And amongst where we live, you live typically, like when Esau lives in, the suburbs, he typically lives around other Edomites. When Jake lives in the ghettos, he typically lives around other, Israelites, maybe 2/3, but nonetheless Israelite. And if it's a so-called or a Edomite looking person, more than likely, and they living in the ghetto, more than likely they Jake, for real. That's the person that always got along with Jake. Cause you gonna feel the enmity between a real Edomite and an Israelite. They not gonna like. I've worked on jobs where they literally basically saying everything but nigga. You know what I mean? Trying to get you to be like real talk. You know what I mean? They wouldn't go as far as that, but you know what I mean? Like in their mindset, you can literally tell like this person don't like you based on your skin. But then you'll have a person tell you to get over it, or you racist though. Like you in a country, actually, your president is fucking racist. This is the stupidity of this place. I am racist. I'm for my race. That's all racist mean. The fuck? Anyway, it said, curse shall be thy basket and thy store, meaning your money. It also talks about, I think it's in like Baruch, it talks about how we going to put away money. It's like trying to save money in a basket with holes, because you're never going to be able to save here. You got some Jake that do it, you know what I mean? But, you got to be careful for that, because, you got people that make deals and whatnot. For the most part, you're going to struggle here. And now it's getting to the point where Esau's struggling. You know what I mean? Especially with this whole pandemic, this whole this scamdemic, this whole situation. Because you got to tell me this. How is it fuck? Before summer came, everybody was dying from COVID. Now the numbers drastically went down. They just did an article. They said that basically the death rate of COVID is like 0.04%. So that's like out of billions of people, that's not even like That's like really nothing. Like, cause when you really, I mean, like that's like, it's like if a person stole, if you had billions in the bank and you was stealing that amount of money, it's a lot to you, but it's not a lot to the bank because people gonna not notice that. You know what I mean? Like out of billions of people, and then like I said, you got to remember the death rate and the actual rate of they saying people got it is totally different. How do you have all these people dying prior to the summer, but now you just got cases and people ain't dying? So what? It took a break during the summer. That's just like they said, all these people died, but then people protesting at the same time. You would think the deaths would have went up higher, but no, the deaths ain't go up higher. It's just people. But people believe what they want. At the end, I just brought that scripture out because it said, "Cursed shall be thy basket." So what I mean, basically meaning that you're gonna be poor. It talks about in the scriptures that the Israelites gonna have to go to their enemy for the one of all things. You know what I mean? That's why you got so many jakes that's on welfare and public housing and shit like that. You know what I mean? But like I said, at the same time too, well, Salakia, back to the article. I mean, back to the book. I'll probably make this like 30 minutes long because I didn't intend to make this super long. It says, it says, uh, he sacrificed not just his own life, but the lives of a number of his children. And paying his last respects to Brown, Frederick Douglass said, now you learned about Frederick Douglass, you learned about Harriet Tubman, which they don't even tell you the truth about her. Harriet Tubman was a spy. They don't tell you that, but you got to be. Anyhow, she was a spy, flat out. And you can go look that up. Salakia. Back into the book, it says, that just kind of threw me off. He said he sacrificed his own life with the lives of a number of his own children. And paying his last respects to Brown, Frederick Douglass says Brown's struggle in the cause of freedom was superior to mine. Mine was a small light. His was a burning sun. Mine was bound by time. His stretched away to silent shores of eternity. As a black man, I'm willing to speak for the slave. John Brown, I'm reading it verbatim. A white man was willing to die for the slave. How do you explain this? And the way I explain that is because he, through the spirit, wasn't a white man. A real so-called Edomite, well, not so-called, a real Edomite or a real so-called white man is not going to die for you like that. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, take the time to realize what these so-called white people, like their whole mentality towards our people was. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you got to remember these the same people that was buck breaking them, raping our women. You know what I mean? Having kids with the women and then killing their own kids. Making them alligator bait because they killed our kids, but they killed their own kids too. Because you got to remember, at one point in time, you got presidents that had children with slaves. I believe Andrew Jackson was one, wasn't it? That he hated niggas. But yet still, when I bring these things up, I'm considered the racist. But the difference is, I'll admit I'm racist. The thing is, why all these people that play that they not racist will tell you being racist, but say and do all this racist shit. See, I understand what the definition of racist is. Why would I be for your people when everybody is against my people? Well, I'm supposed to have pride in my people, right? I mean, America's the most prideful fucking place on the planet, and it's all about pride, but they want you to be proud of America. Why would I want to be proud of a place where it makes homosexuality legal? That's against the Bible. That's how you know they're not a real. I'm not a Christian. The first Christians were Israelites. Go into the scriptures. Book of Acts tell you that. So everybody can't even be fucking Christian. When you go into the word Christian is to be Christ-like. Where's American Christ-like? Salakia. Because trust and believe, the Messiah, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, was not no homosexual. Best believe he that's what America's legacy is now. You know what I'm saying? People out of work. And it's beautiful the way the Lord doing it. And people get offended, but I don't give a fuck. You have a nigga that literally get offended by this. Like I say, you got a motherfucker get offended by some of the most pussiest shit, but then look at what all we done came through as a people. How the fuck you offended? Come on, we live in a world now, like I said, they say it's a such thing called toxic masculinity. They want a man to be a man, but then if you too much of a man, you toxic. We got this big ass nigga Terry Crews, big ass fucking coon ass nigga dancing for, you know what I mean? He talk about, oh yeah, the Black Lives Matter. Like, I don't trust that Black Lives Matter shit, because when you go into actually the whole actual process of, take the time to think about it, Black lives always matter. So we didn't need white people to come behind the scenes and say, oh, Black Lives Matter now. When you go into it, the organization ain't even with really Jake. It's so-called white people. It's three gay women that don't even like men, that got men involved in it. So you got to wonder what these men did to play a leadership role in the, and then you got them making statements about literally, well, we gonna take what's rightfully ours by whatever means that we need, doing a Malcolm X. I mean, I might be butchering that a little bit, but I forgot the guy's name. He came on national TV and literally made a statement about, because the lady, the news anchor said, oh, is that a threat? And he literally said, take it how you want to. He said that could be figuratively, literally, or, basically he said, you take it how you must take it. So, like, that's a threat. And you don't think these Edomites going to take that as a threat? That's why... That's why you literally had and when Trump literally brought the federal agencies out to like cities like Portland and whatnot, that was a test run. You know what I'm saying? Just to see, you got to remember, these people do things in stages and test runs. You had a county in California that literally boarded up the building because people was, I think, for the whole COVID-19 thing. Now, you ain't heard about it happening in other places, but when it does happen somewhere else, it's because it was allowed to happen in California. Back into the article, Salakia. So my explanation for why he was willing to do that is because, like I said, through the spirit, he really was Jake. And that's why I read that Romans 8:16, the spirit beareth witness with our spirit. An Edomite is not going to risk his life for no, I'm going to just put it plainly, a nigga, for a Jake, for an Israelite. John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry appears to have failed primarily because it was not supported by visible black leadership. And that's where you get them sellouts. When you really go into Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, like I say, at the end of the day, you got to question certain things. Like I remember Frederick Douglass did a marvelous speech about on the 4th of July. He said, why should basically he should be proud on a holiday that basically celebrates your white supremacy. He said but then this man was the same man that was caught up in amongst Esau. Now, he was a lawyer. Frederick, there was a lot of things. That's showing you, that's why I don't buy the fact that we 3/5 of a man and no shit like that. This man actually rose in another man's environment. You know what I mean? Like with all the odds stacked against him. That shows, if anything, our superiority to them. It says, and then, like I said, when you go to Harriet Tubman, like I said, at the end of the day, Harriet Tubman with the proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation, when you go into that whole situation, all that wasn't really like they literally freed slaves. You know what I mean? Like, all it did was transfer ownership. That's why, like, basically it transferred the ownership from the Southern slaves owners to actually the American government. That's all that did, you know what I mean? Like, and then, like I said, when you go into her history, like, Harriet Tubman was a spy, like, flat out. She was working for the government as well. That's why, like, she helped bring together or bring about or bring to life the Emancipation Proclamation. It says, but literally his rebellion didn't. And that's another thing too. Like I said, when you really go into history, they don't even tell you about all the slave revolts and all that shit. Like we just was happy to be slaves. Like I said, and that's from years of brainwashing and systematic. Like, I mean, that like I say, just showing you how dumbed down and weak people were. You know how many slave revolts it was? And then to the point where, like I said, literally, like I say, if it was so right, why would a so-called white-looking man actually risk him and his family to actually stop it? Because it wasn't right. I mean, it was the will of the Lord. I mean, that's why it happened, but at the end of the day, I just get tired of hearing like something wrong with me because you too weak to fucking feel anything about anything that you think is normal to live the way you living. You know what I mean? Like when actually, like I said, at the end of the day, if anything, like I said, everybody. I mean, I didn't mean to digress because, like I said, it's like the spirit trying to get me to switch this topic. I might have to name this various topics, but the point is, it's just like, yeah. As of lately, I've been having these weak ass jakes sitting up there getting offended by this. Like, if you can get offended at truth, then you weak as fuck for real. If a person called me a piece of shit for something I did and I did it, how can I get mad about it? You know what I mean? Like, if it's some piece of shit, you know what I mean? Like, I respect the fucking like what's his name? Eddie Griffin had a joke. He was like, "Give me one of them red rednecks because I can respect that more." You know what I mean? Like he gonna let you know he don't like you before in front of your face as opposed to smiling in your face like some of these niggas do and these Edomites, and then secretly trying to stab you in the back. You know, you could. You know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It says. And prepared for the raid, John Brown wanted that black leaders such as Harriet Tubman or Frederick Douglass to join his crusade and call the slaves to arms. Brown believed black slaves would not rally to an unknown white man, but both Tubman and Douglass declined to join his party because they now take the time to think about this. Why would they decline? And you got so many situations like that in history. You know what I mean? You got people still like all into the Black Panthers and shit when a lot of them Black Panthers sold out. That's why you got some that's out here and they became doctors and running for the fucking government, and you got some that's still in jail for that shit. But both Tubman and Douglas declined to join his party after seizing and holding Harper's Ferry for 2 days with 21 people, mind you. And it was a U.S. armory. So that's a hell of an accomplishment. Brown's judgment was proven correct. The slaves did not rally to his side. Outgunned, Brown waited too long for the slaves to rise up, allowing federal troops the time to travel from Washington, D.C. and capture his raiding party. Ironically, John Brown, a so-called white man, was a national hero to blacks, just as Hayward Shepherd, a black man, or a so-called black man, was a traitor to blacks. Hayward Shepherd, a black railroad reporter, recognized Brown's raiding party as it rolled into town. Rather than assisting, rather than helping them, rather than assisting his liberators that was there to try to help him rise up along with his people, it said he tried in vain to warn the town and was promptly killed by John Brown and them. And mind you, the slaves, because you got to remember, it was 5 so-called black slaves with him. After hanging Brown and his party for attempting to free the slaves, the town erected a monument honoring Hayward Shepherd for his contribution to black slaves. So they actually made a monument to the guy Hayward Shepherd, the guy that basically tried to, the Uncle Tom ass nigga that tried to basically keep, and that's the point, and you got a lot of them dudes, what they call them, Uncle Ruck. You got a lot of Uncle Ruckuses. That's in love with that fell in love with their oppressor. You know what I'm saying? It's a scripture that talks about that. Bear with me for a second. Salakia. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30. As far as because I brought out the fact of how you had people trusting in the oppression. It says, I'm gonna get straight to the point. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 12. Wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, this is the Lord, because he despised this word. So you despise, your heritage, the word, the scriptures, and you trust in man, like they did then, and you have them trusting in man today. You got so many Jakes. You got certain people that wear or make certain apparel with talking about blacks for Trump, or magma hats. You know what I mean? Make America great. But this is Jake doing it. It says, wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay on thereon. Therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out on the high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. For the I'm gonna go back to verse 7. For the Egyptians shall help in vain and to no purpose. Therefore I have cried concerning this. Their strength is to sit still. And he shall break it as breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of his sherd to take fire from the hearth, or to take water withal out of the pit. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, while Yahweh Shah, the Holy One of Israel, and returning and rest shall ye be saved, and quietness and confidence shall be your strength, and ye would not. But ye said, no, for we will flee upon horses. So basically, it's going into, you know, people trusting in the oppression of the modern day Egypt, which is AKA America, AKA Babylon. You know, um, you know, basically it's gonna be to your destruction. I don't know if I'm gonna even get the other because I had found something on Wikipedia. Bear with me for a second. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord Yahweh, while Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So that's proven that basically, I mean, that proven America, because in America you got all these different idols that set up, but not just in America. That's just really proven that the Israelites were scattered abroad, and when you go into like the Book of Acts, you was seeing that all them different, that's why Paul was told to go talk to the Gentiles. You know what I mean? Because that was basically, you had the Israelites were scattered abroad, and then they grew up in them other lands, so they tended to take on the customs of them other lands and even the appearance. But like I brought out, and once again, Romans 8 and 16, the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit that we're the children of the Most High. If you can receive this word and it's not offensive, and your spirit resonate with it, 9 times out of 10, you are an Israelite. This is the book of Psalms 106, verse 35. But we're mingled among, well, I'm going to start at verse 30. I'm going to start up. Psalms 106 and 32. They angered him also at the waters of strife, so that it went ill with Moses for their sakes. So they're talking about they angered the Most High because they provoked his spirit, so they spake unadvisedly with his lips. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them to. So basically, because a commandment is something that's told to do or not to do. You know what I mean? And the Lord told them when they came into the land to destroy, I believe it was Amalek. You know what I mean? And Esau, I mean, Salaki, and Jake didn't. I think that was with Saul, if I'm not mistaken. It said they did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord Yahweh, while Yahweh Shah commanded them. Verse 35, but were mingled among the heathens and learned their works. So meaning, like I said, when they were scattered, for the longest in the scriptures, Jake or Israel has been trying to do as the other nations when the Most High has created you to be separate from the other nations. I'm going to get that real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. Deuteronomy 7 and 6, for thou art a holy people. When you go into the word holy, it's kadash, sacred. But if I had the blue letter, it would probably go into exactly means separate. Unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be special, to be a special people unto himself. So the Most High proving that the Most High is only dealing with the nation of Israel above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And people sit up there, and that's why you got guys like Vlad with Vlad TV. That's a so-called Jew, so-called Jewish. You know what I mean? So-called Amalekite. You know what I mean? That literally will pronounce his Jewish heritage, but then says he doesn't even believe in God. So how you going to, what makes you special is because you're supposed to be the one people on the earth that has a covenant with God, but then you literally don't even believe in God. To show you how bugged out this dude is, and then to show you something, he literally admitted, I heard this with my own ears, he admitted that we are the real Jews. I'm going to get a little bit of this article and then,
This is urgent.
Salakia. My phone want to act all crazy. I ain't gonna blame everything on Satan. Satan probably. Look at this. Okay, there we go. Okay. It says, oh, what is going on? This is crazy. It says John Brown, born May 9th, 1800, Torrington, Connecticut, died December 2nd, 1859, Charlestown, Virginia. Militant American abolitionist whose raid on the federal arsenal at Harper's Ferry, Virginia, now in West Virginia, in 1859 made him a martyr to the anti-slavery cause and was instrumental in heightening sectional animosity that led to American Civil War. It says, moving about, so this is about John Brown. It says he was moving about restlessly through Ohio, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and New York. Brown was barely able to support his large family. So that was one of the reasons why I said he may have been Jake. Because not only, like I said, he suffered some of the curses, but he also stood up for Jake like Moses did for the Israelite when he killed the Egyptian for the Israelite. Brown was barely able to support his large family in any of several vocations at which he tried his hand: tanner, sheep drover, wool merchant, farmer, and land speculator. Though he was white, in 1849, Brown settled with his family in a black community founded at North Elba, New York, on land donated by the New York anti-slavery philanthropist Gerrit Smith. Long a foe of slavery, Brown became obsessed with the idea of taking overt action to help win justice for enslaved black people. You got this so-called white person that literally gave more, more, had more emotions about slavery than he named Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. You know, I think Frederick Douglass' father was Edomite, though. I'm not for sure, but I don't know why I'm saying that. You know, I tend to read so much, and then sometimes you know how you can mix information. It says in 1855 he followed 5 of his sons to the Kansas territory to assist anti-slavery forces struggling for control there, a conflict that became known as Bleeding Kansas. With a wagon laden with guns and ammunition, Brown settled in Osawatomie and soon became the leader of anti-slavery guerrillas in the area. So that's all I'm gonna get. Um, so bear with me for a second, real quick. So I'm gonna end it with that, and I'm gonna end it with a scripture. If you want to read more about John Brown, I got that information out of Britannica. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 1, verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power. So with that, I hope the lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory. Call Haloyim, La Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba Hashem, Rachakatos Katham. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with Salaki, pushing the truth with faith and sincerity, risking their lives and freedom to do so. Shalom to the Akwat and the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willing, this edifying video. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad. Till next time, Lord willingly, Shalom, Shalom, and Mawath Lababal. Shalom.